Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me tonight. I'm excited to be here with you. I just want to tell you 3 stories tonight, and then in between each story, we're going to have an object lesson that just kind of gives you something to take away tonight. So the first story I want to tell you is about a farmer and an eagle. This farmer was out hiking in the woods around his area one day. He lived in kind of a mountainous, craggy area, and he found this baby eagle in the woods at the bottom of a cliff. And he looked around to see if its parents were nearby, but they were nowhere to be found. And so he thought, well, I'm a caring man. I'm not going to leave this baby eagle to die. I'll take him home and raise him as one of my farm animals. So he took the eagle home and he put him in with his chickens. And over the next several months, a curious thing began to happen. This baby eagle began to act more and more like the chickens that he was growing up with. He clucked like a chicken. He walked like a chicken. He pecked at the ground like a chicken. News spread all through the area. If you went into any restaurant, any bar in town, the town square, people were always talking about this crazy eagle out on the farm that thought he was a chicken. Well, one day a traveler came to town, a British ornithologist, a bird expert, and he overheard people talking about this situation, and he was horrified. A noble eagle, a mighty eagle, thinking he's a chicken. This was terrible news. And so he went out to the farm to see for himself, or if this was just a hoax being played on the foreigner who'd come to town. We found the farmer, and he said, "Excuse me, good farmer, I've heard tales of this eagle who believes he's a chicken residing on your farm. Is this true?" And the farmer said, "Well, yeah, that's true. I found him out in the woods, and he was an orphan. I brought him home and raised him with the chickens. He thinks he's a chicken. May I see this for myself?" "Of course, yeah, come on." So he takes him over, and absolutely, he sees this baby eagle. And he's flapping his wings like a chicken. He's going with the rest of the chickens. He's scratching at the dirt to dig up insects to eat. He's pecking at the corn that the farmer's thrown in there. And the ornithologist, he's just stunned. He can't believe it. He said, "Oh, my good sir, this is a travesty. This must not be. This noble eagle, this amazing king of birds, reduced to the status of a common chicken. This is not what he was made for. He was made for the skies, not the dirt of the farmyard." The farmer said, "Well, what do you want me to do, man? He thinks he's a chicken. What can I do?" He said, "I'll show you what we can do. May I?" The farmer said, "Well, yeah, go ahead, knock yourself out." So the ornithologist went over. He scooped this eagle up. He looked him in the eye to eye, nose to beak. And he said, "Now listen to me, noble eagle. Remember, thou art an eagle. Thou art not a chicken. Thou wast made for the skies, for the mountain peaks, for the clouds, not for the dirt of the farmyard or the chicken coop. Oh, noble eagle, remember who you are. Remember who you are. Turn your face to the sun, spread your mighty wings, and soar. Soar into the heavens." And with that, he threw the eagle up into the air. Well, the eagle did several somersaults in the air, spun out, flapped, and clucked. And then he landed in a big pile of dust. And the farmer chuckled and said, "I told you, man, that thing's not going to fly. Chickens don't fly. He thinks he's a chicken. Leave that bird alone." Well, the eagle got up, shook the dust off, scratched the dirt a little bit, pecked at some corn, and said, "Baka, baka." Well, the ornithologist was discouraged, but he wasn't dissuaded. He decided, no, we've got to take this one step further. So he grabbed the eagle and he climbed up onto the roof of the farmer's house, about 12, 13 feet in the air. And again, he pulled the eagle, eye to eye, nose to beak. He said, "Oh, noble eagle, remember who thou art. Thou art not a chicken. Thou art an eagle. Thou art the king of the birds. Thou wast made for the mountain peaks and the skies, the clouds, the heavens, not for the dirt of the farmyard or the chicken coop. Oh, noble eagle, remember who thou art. Look toward the sun. Spread thy mighty wings. Oh, and soar. Soar into the heavens." And he threw the eagle off of the house. And the eagle this time is terrified because he's way up in the air. But again, he spins out. His arms are flapping around. His wings, rather, are flapping around. He's and he, boom, hits the ground so hard the farmer thinks he's dead. He said, "You killed the eagle." No, the eagle stood up, dazed but alive, shook it off a little bit, scratched the ground a little, started pecking at the corn, just like the other chickens. And the farmer began to laugh. He said, "I'm telling you, man, you've tried it twice. Give it up. This eagle thinks he's a chicken." Again, the ornithologist wasn't ready to give up so easily. So he climbed down off the house. He grabbed the eagle again. This time he climbed up onto the top of the silo. Now he's 40, 50 feet in the air. Well, the eagle is starting to get terrified because he's no bird brain. He's figuring out what's going on here. And so he kind of digs into the ornithologist's arm a little bit. He's like, hey, man, don't throw me off of this thing. And the ornithologist, again, brings him eye to eye, nose to beak. He says, now listen to me. Noble eagle, listen to me. Thou art an eagle. Thou art not a chicken. Thou art an eagle, the king of the birds. Thou wast made for the mountains and the heavens, the clouds, the sky, not for the dirt of the farmyard or the chicken coop. Now listen to me, noble eagle. Remember who thou art. Turn your face to the sun. Spread thy mighty wings and soar, soar into the heavens. And he threw the eagle off of the edge of this silo. And the farmer turned his head away because he didn't want to see the splat when the eagle hit the ground. Well, fortunately, the eagle landed in a haystack. But again, the whole way down, spinning out of control, clucking and squawking like a chicken. And you would think at this point the ornithologist would give up. As he looked down and he saw the eagle crawl out of the hay and begin scratching at the dirt, pecking at the ground, and just like a chicken. But he didn't. He didn't give up. This time he came down and he said, listen, good farmer, I wish to purchase this bird from you. I wish to purchase this eagle. He said, I will give you 500 of your American dollars if you give me this eagle to be my own. Well, the farmer was no bird brain. He said, yeah, show me the money, right? And so the guy gave him his 5 Benjamins. The ornithologist scooped up his bird, and off he went. And he headed up into those mountains surrounding the area, those craggy peaks where the farmer had found the eagle before. And this time he climbed and he climbed and he climbed up through the mountain passes until he got to the edge of a cliff, 500, 600 feet in the air. And he looked down and he thought, this will do it. And he turned and he looked at the eagle. And again, the eagle was no bird brain himself. And so he dug those claws in even tighter than he had before. But this time the ornithologist was so determined. He pulled that eagle up, eye to eye, nose to beak, and he said, listen to me, noble eagle. Thou art not a chicken. Thou art an eagle. Remember who thou art. Thou wast made for the mountain peaks, for the clouds, for the heavens. Oh, noble eagle, remember, thou wast not made for the dirt or the farmyard or for the chicken coop. Please, noble eagle, remember who you are, king of the birds. Turn your eyes towards the sun. Spread thy mighty wings and soar. Soar, good eagle. And he threw him off of the cliff. And the eagle begins to fly down for a minute. He seems to look like he's going to catch the wind and fly away, but no, he loses control. He spins, he flutters, and he plummets 600 feet to his death. The end. Hey, thanks for your time tonight. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No, I wouldn't leave you with the ending like that. That'd be horrible. What kind of person do you think I am? The eagle does start to plummet to his death at first. He's falling rapidly, spinning out of control. And as he's flying, trying to fly, he's fluttering and he's screeching like a chicken. And then he begins to entertain a thought. What if I am an eagle? What if I am an eagle? He says it a little stronger this time. What if I am really an eagle? And so he tries to flap his wings like this ornithologist seems to think an eagle should. It doesn't seem to work, and so he says, well, I'll try to screech like he seems to think an eagle would. So, but it sounds like a chicken. He tries again. He spreads his wings a little further, and this time the wind catches them just right, and it lifts him up in the air a little bit. It gives him a little bit of confidence. And he says, this time, I am an eagle. Not maybe anymore. I am an eagle. I am an eagle. And then he believes it, and he flaps his wings, and he goes up again. He flaps his wings, and he goes up again. And before he knows it, he's soaring through the heavens, just like the ornithologist always knew he would. Now, here's what I want you to hear. You are more powerful than you have been led to believe. And though all of your life you may have grown up thinking you're one thing, maybe, just maybe, you're something more than that. Maybe you are not a chicken. Maybe you are an eagle. Let's talk about that a little bit. Let me share a little bit of trivia with you tonight. Maybe you've heard this before, maybe you haven't. It was kind of news to me a few years ago. A lot of us know the first part of this. If you ask what the offspring of a horse and a donkey are, we would say, well, that's a mule, right? Well, technically, if it's the offspring of a female horse and a male donkey, that is a mule. But if you switch that around, you make it a male horse and a female donkey, you actually call that a hinny, Hinny. Some people choose to pronounce it Heine. Well, this is a story about Heine the mule who lived up on a farm with an old man and his grandson at the head of the holler. Now, you may not know what a holler is, but I spent a large part of my adult life in Appalachia, southern Ohio, West Virginia, Kentucky, that area. And a lot of people in that area call the valley between two hills or two mountains a holler. Not like, hey, you guys! It's not that kind of holler. They just call it a holler. And at the head of the holler, that's the part of the valley, the part of the holler that's farthest away from town. And that's where the old man and his grandson and Heine the mule lived, at the head of the holler. Well, one day the old man and his grandson decided Heine was getting on in years, and maybe it was time to take him to market and just sell him and see what they could get for him while he was still alive. So they loaded Heine up with all kinds of provisions, lunch for the day and water for the trip down and the return trip, and they started off towards town. They hadn't gone very far when the old man heard some of the people around him talking, and they said, look at that foolish old man. Look at that foolish old man. Here he is, he and his grandson, walking that mule all the way to town when one of them could be a-riding it. Well, the old man didn't want to be considered foolish, and so he climbed up onto the back of Heine, and they started to ride to town again. Well, they hadn't gone very far when they passed some more people, and this group said, look at that cruel old man. Look at that cruel old man riding that horse and making his poor little grandson walk all the way to town. Well, the old man didn't want to be considered cruel, so he got down off of Heine's back and instead lifted his grandson onto the back of this mule, and they started to ride towards town again. Well, wouldn't you know it, they hadn't gone very far when he heard some other people say, look at that mean little boy, making his poor old grandfather walk all the way to town while he, in his prime of health, prime of his youth, riding on the back of that mule. He should be ashamed of himself. What a mean little boy. Well, the old man didn't want anybody to consider his grandson mean, so he climbed back up onto the back of Heine the mule again, and now the two of them began to ride Heine to town together. Well, of course, they hadn't gone very far, and they heard some more people talking, and this time they were saying, look at that stupid old man. He and his grandson both riding that rickety old mule all the way to town. I tell you, by the time they get all the way to town, that mule will be plumb worn out. There won't be nothing left of him when they get there. They won't get a plug nickel for that mule. He is such a stupid old man. Well, the old man didn't want to be considered stupid, so he climbed back down off of Heine. He grabbed his grandson, pulled him down off of Heine. He said, here's what we're going to do. We're going to lift this mule up onto our shoulders. And so that's what they did. The grandson and the grandfather lifted Heine the mule up onto their shoulders, and they commenced to walk towards town again. Well, a short ways later, there was a rickety old footbridge that went across this big ravine, 250, 300-foot drop below. And as they carefully started to walk across that bridge, it started swaying and swinging, and they lost their footing and accidentally pitched Heine over the side of this bridge, and he fell all the way to the bottom to his death. And the moral of that story is, if you try to please everybody, you'll lose your Heine. So I told you when we started tonight that I had 3 stories for you, and you've heard 2 of them so far. I got to tell you one more. This is a story about a guy named Boris. Boris was an explorer. He was climbing a mountain one day, and he slipped and fell and was knocked unconscious, was badly injured, in fact. And he was unconscious for several days, and then he awoke in a little missionary hut owned by a guy named Dr. Peabody. And Dr. Peabody told him, hey, I've nursed you back to health. You've been unconscious for several days, and I've saved your life. And so Boris is very thankful. He says, well, I got to tell my family that I'm okay. Do you have a phone or a shortwave radio, something I can get the word out to them? No, I don't have anything like that. He said, but there's a town about 10 miles up the road, and they've got all that stuff. You'd be able to get word to your family there. Boris says, oh, that'd be great. Do you have a car I could borrow? No, don't have a car. You have a horse? No, don't have a horse. Any transportation at all? And the doctor says, well, I've got a pig. Boris says, you got a what? He says, I got a pig. He said, how's that going to help me? He says, well, he's a really big pig. He's about the size of a horse. He's a stunt pig. He's what? He's a stunt pig, the doctor said. What do you mean he's a stunt pig, Boris says. He said, well, several years ago there was this movie studio that came out and they shot this film out here, and they brought all these amazing animals out with them, all these stunt animals, and one of them was this big pig. He's a stunt pig. You can ride him just like a horse. Well, Boris is a little skeptical of this. He thinks maybe this doctor's, a little bit crazy, but he says, well, show me this pig. So they go out to the stable, and sure enough, here's this pig the size of a horse. He's got a saddle on him. And Boris says, well, I can't believe it. I thought you were putting me on, Doc, but evidently you're telling me the truth. Oh, yeah, you can ride this guy. He's Jeremiah. He's great. What's his name? Jeremiah. Isn't Jeremiah a bullfrog? Well, he is sometimes, but in this case, he's a pig. He says, well, I can ride Jeremiah the pig. He says, yep, just like a horse, yep. He says, okay, well, that's what I'm going to do then, Doc. So he climbs up onto Jeremiah, and the doctor says, oh, hang on a minute. I got to tell you something before you go. Now, I'm a missionary, and I raised this pig as a Christian pig. He said, what's that mean? He said, well, I taught him some commands that are a little bit unusual compared to what you would normally think of if you were riding a horse. For example, if you want him to go, you got to say, thank God. And if you want him to stop, instead of saying, whoa, you say, amen. And Boris, he's not really listening too close. He says, okay, whatever, Doc. And he says, well, all right, come on, Jeremiah, get up. Of course, Jeremiah doesn't move. Come on, get up, Jeremiah. What's wrong with you, dumb pig? Come on, get up. Jeremiah won't move. The doctor says, listen, I told you, if you want him to go, you got to say thank God. And if you want him to stop, you got to say amen. Oh, that's right. You told me. All right. So he tries it. He says, thank God. Well, sure enough, Jeremiah starts trotting off. He's kind of amazed. Boris says, wonder what happens if you say it twice. Thank God, thank God. Well, Jeremiah starts to jog a little bit faster. He says, Jeremiah, you're going pretty good, buddy. Let's see how fast you can really go. He says, thank God, thank God, thank God, thank God, thank God. Jeremiah, boom, and he takes off like a shot. They're galloping off across the countryside. It's amazing. He says, man, I'm going to be in that town in no time at all. And then all of a sudden he notices they're going the wrong way. They're not going the direction of the town the doctor told him about. In fact, they're heading right back towards that same cliff that he fell off not more than a few days ago. And he says, oh my gosh, he didn't tell me how to steer this thing. Turn left, Jeremiah, turn left. No, doesn't do any good. Turn right, Jeremiah, turn right. Doesn't do any good. He kicks him, he shoves him, he pulls him, he yanks him. Nothing works. Jeremiah's getting closer and closer and closer to this cliff, and they're going to go right off the end of it if he doesn't do something. He says, oh my gosh. Whoa, Jeremiah, whoa. No, Jeremiah doesn't stop. Whoa, what's wrong with you, Jeremiah? Come on, you dumb pig. Whoa, for crying out loud, whoa. He doesn't whoa at all. They're getting right up on the edge of the cliff, and suddenly Boris remembers. He says, oh yeah, amen. And Boris goes, Jeremiah and Boris are right on the edge of this cliff. They almost went over. Oh, Jeremiah. Oh, thank you so much. And Boris sits down, breathes a sigh of relief. He says, oh, thank God. Wah! Now, here's the moral of that story. If you don't practice active listening, you will not reach your intended destination.
Not even close to the end, it's just beginning. Life is getting lighter while the days are getting brighter, yeah. And if it's good, I won't even worry anymore. Took all my cares, still can kick them all out the door. Go on and try, come and tell me what you're waiting for. Move and keep them going till your life is overflowing, yeah. I do a dance of victory, cause now I'm living good. No, I'm not living like I used to be. Now talk about things, talk about my mind. Now I'm free from the worries that I left